Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Galactic Ambition, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast, part of the Maindeck podcast family. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jason, and what did you get for me for Valentine's Day?
For Valentine's Day, Jason, I got you a wonderful story about the Star Wars Community Celebration event that I just got back from. What do you think?
Just what I always wanted.
That's yeah, an event that you wanted to go to.
Yeah. The event that I wanted to hear about and listen to and enjoy from afar. I really wanted that, so I was glad I was able to get that.
So just to put the context out there, I want everyone to understand what happened here. So in this episode we're gonna be recapping that event. That event was a very special event where community members, who are content creators largely, were invited to spend a couple of days with a lot of the Star Wars Unlimited dev team, including people who are in like marketing and supporting all that stuff. And we spent Friday evening dinner with them, and then a Saturday like full day of like Star Wars Unlimited like focused fun times, which was all streamed as well. And they sent these invites out a while ago, really before, or like they sent the invites out like the week we started Galactic Ambition, actually. So they sent an invite to specifically me. And this event took place on a weekend where I already had planned to go to a Grand Archive tournament. I had a plane ticket to go to California. So the first thing I did was I said, well, is there any way I can have my podcast co-host, Jason, go to this event instead? And they got back to me after a little while and they said, no, we don't like him. That's not actually what they said. They said that it required a bunch of approvals. They had to go through approvals from different licensors and stuff. And it was unlikely that he would get approved in time, but I was approved. So I canceled my trip and I went to this instead. So that's the story. And that's why Jason feels sad that he couldn't go.
I mean, of course, I feel sad that I couldn't go, but at the same time, I'm so excited for you to tell me all about it and about how much fun everybody had. So there's a silver lining to every cloud, every really large looming cloud, ominous cloud. No,
you did get to spend the weekend at MegaCon instead, though, right?
That was the weekend before. So yes, I would have had to
keep getting that mixed up.
I would have had to cancel that because there was no way I was going to be able to take 2 weekends off of my job without having a job anymore. It's really hard to take weekends off with what I do. So I was able to do that. I was able to have a good time with all my friends, and it was still a lot of fun. I bought that really cool X-Men thing you might be able to see in the background. I know you could see it. It's pretty sick.
I don't think the viewers will be able to see it based on how things are.
So just know how awesome it is. It's like a canvas some guy drew of the X-Men from the 90s cartoon, did you see the trailer for X-Men 97 yet?
I did. That was going around today. And actually, I almost didn't watch it, but then I saw so many people posting about it. I don't know why. It wasn't like I don't like 90s X-Men. I just was like, I was busy today. But then I watched it just before we started recording podcasts tonight. And it was dope. It was really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. But as an aside, so yeah, I went, had a good time with all my friends. It was a good time. And I'm glad that Dan was able to go to the community event and tell me all about it. I promise I won't feel bad or negative or sad or like have any FOMO about it at all. Nothing like that.
Yeah, I totally believe you about that. But so I mean, I'm just going to recap. Basically, this is going to be our sort of recap coverage of the event. I did try to do some video there, but the venue was really loud and I ended up just getting pulled into a lot of stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of a bad content creator when it comes to like covering events live like that. It's not really my style of content necessarily. I'm not really good at like the vlog thing and everything. So instead I used that weekend to really forge relationships, with some other content creators. I'm set up to actually do an interview with one of the newer devs at Fantasy Flight. We'll talk about Twin Suns in a little bit. He's one of the ones who really helped with that. So I was setting up some other styles of content and everything while we were doing that, which was great too. And instead, I took to Twitter and I've just been retweeting everyone's recaps and everything because I want everyone to know what happened. And this podcast episode is just going to be how we talk about kind of my experience there, I think. So there's going to be plenty to talk about. Let's just do our really brief aside before we jump into everything about how you can support Maindeck if you do enjoy Galactic Ambition, where we cover all things Star Wars Unlimited. If you enjoy this a lot, there are several ways you can support us. Number one is if you're listening on a podcast platform like Spotify or iTunes, you can go ahead and leave a 5-star review. That's really helpful to show people that people like this. That's really cool if you want to do that. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff. That really helps us out as well. Thank you so much for all of your interactions because they really do. They're what we need as content creators. They give us the nutrients we crave.
Yes.
And the other way you can support us, now Star Wars Unlimited is about to launch. As you all know, it's coming out very soon at the start of March. And there's going to be singles that you're going to need. You're going to need them. You're going to need Vaders. You're going to need Lukes. You're going to need to buy a showcase. I know you're going to need to, because I've seen these in person now. And holy cow, Jason, I am so mad at how good these look. Because they're going to be expensive.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about buying expensive cards on TCG Player is using the Maindeck affiliate link. When you use the Maindeck affiliate link down in the description below, you will pay the market price for the card. Which, by the way, if you're new, wait a week or two, let them settle a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're going to pay the market price of the card, and then we're going to get a little kickback from TCG Player, not from you. You don't spend anything extra. They just send us money. So it's really cool. You can get cards at a good price and help Maindeck out. So use the link down in the description below or go to bit.ly/shoptcgs. Try to make it easy for you to remember. So thank you all so much for your support. Now, the creator event, Jason. So let's talk about what this is. For this event, they flew out probably not, well, a lot of people are flown out. They flew out, they offered flight and hotel to everyone who they invited. It was about, I don't know how many, but 30-ish creators maybe, as well as, a bunch of the dev team was there. And it was for a Friday night dinner. And then, like I said, Saturday full day of fun. I actually drove out because Maindeck headquarters is located about 3 hours away. So my wife and I drove up. My wife spent the entire day in the Mall of America because that's where it took place. She was just shopping and having a good time. And then on Sunday, we went to IKEA because we had placed online orders and we picked stuff up and hauled it all home, which is why I drove instead. And we did have the meatballs, and I enjoy them every time. That lingonberry sauce.
The lingonberry sauce. And then they also have, did you see that they have the little almond cake too? You had that before?
I had the almond cake.
Oh, that's really good too.
It was so good. Yeah, it was great.
We're big and then IKEA fans here. And I have one like 45 minutes away, and it's like,
I'm so jealous.
Home. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, well, it really is, because you can just live in that place.
you can, and you might not get found for some period of time if you're good at it.
I think that's true. I also had a chance finally to get one of their cones, frozen yogurt cones.
Nice.
Because every time I'd gone before, we'd stayed too late, and I think the deli closed, and we just couldn't get them. Delicious, wonderful, if cost effective, and very good. So, anyway, this isn't the IKEA podcast, although it could be.
It could,
but we're going to talk about the event now. So the event took place in the hotel we stayed at was the Radisson Blu in the Mall of America. So everyone got put up there, and the Friday night we got there, they had this dinner for the whole community. And it was at the Fire Lake Grill, which is just in the basement of not the basement, sorry, not the first floor, the second floor, whatever, the hotel. The basement. They shoved us in the basement of the hotel and threw down some gruel and some slop. Yep. No, cool. It was actually a really, really good meal. It was a wonderful meal. I can't imagine how much this entire weekend cost. It must have been very high. But it was such a cool weekend. It was such a cool meal that day where we basically, there were like 3 big tables, and we all kind of filtered in and sat down next to a bunch of other content creators and sometimes FFG staff and everything. And what really happened from that, I think, was people kind of bonded with people over dinner and then kind of clicked up with them over Saturday. So I'd really like to I would love to have another one of these events and take you, Jason, and we could sit down with other content creators. Cause like, I felt like I got to spend a lot of time with a small amount of the creators, and I really want to spend more time with a lot of the other ones. So, I could try and name everyone who is there, but I'm going to just miss a lot of names. And I don't know if it's really worth doing, but like almost every Star Wars Unlimited content creator who's been putting out regular content was there. A few people weren't, kind of weird. I'm not sure why. I'm not part of that. I don't know why. But it was a ton of fun. At that meal, I did have a couple drinks. And as Jason is well aware, I get pretty good feedback about being, I think people generally have enjoyed conversation with me after I'm a couple drinks in. Jason, is that like true, or am I
think you get, you're passionate already, on the things you champion and care about. I think your passion definitely goes up a couple tiers. You're very
I think that's probably true. The conversation that Friday dinner was super fun. There were a couple of people in particular I want to mention. We were with the Johto cast, who are a Star Wars gaming focused podcast, who actually started in Maindeck's hometown as well. So I went to FLGS's for Destiny and for other games with some of these guys. So we just met up right away and we sat down at the same table. So we talked a lot with them, which was really great. Just even deeper than I ever have before, which is awesome. I sat right down next to a guy named Marty from Rolling Dice and Taking Names, which actually left me a little bit starstruck because I know Marty from the tabletop gaming. I used to be really into board gaming, and he's from one of the very first and bigger board game podcasts called Rolling Dice and Taking Names, obviously. And it was it was really fun. The funny thing about this was like every time I listened to other board game podcasts who are people who are friends with Marty, like Secret Cabal, they will mention, we were hanging out with Marty from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. And I looked over and right at the dinner, I was like, hey, so, who are you? Where are you from? And he said, I'm Marty from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. It's like the epithet on his name. It's like his surname at this point. Right. And I was like, oh, I know who that is. It's awesome. And we get to chat a lot about why it was just kind of fun to see him there because he focuses so much on board gaming. And he mentioned that, like kids have moved out and I've got, more time and more money and stuff. And, or I don't know if he said anything about kids. I wonder if I just made that up. I had a couple drinks, but fair. He did say that I think he said when he was younger and tried to play TCGs, he, as we had less money and less, and it was just harder to get into, but he said that now he's looking into some games. And in particular, he tried Star Wars Unlimited and he greatly enjoyed it. And I kept checking in with him throughout the weekend too. We'll talk about a little, he'll come up a few more times. So I hung out with them. I talked with them a lot and had a few other people next to us. Nelson, all over cards. We had Ryback Stun or Ryback Stare. He has 2 different names. I'm never sure which one, but he goes by both. Was at our table with us, and Banana Crapshoot from Space Arena Ground Arena, who's actually one of our community leaders in the Maindeck Discord too. So that was kind of that was our table, and I'm blanking on his name, but from comicbook.com. If I pulled up my Twitter, I found him on there, and he was at our table too. So that was kind of our table, and there were other tables with guys from Unplayable and Golden Dice and Garbage Rollers and all sorts of other people. Lots of Ice Cave Radio. And we just had a wonderful dinner chatting about all sorts of things, like hardly even Star Wars, honestly. Like the conversation was wild and fun. Altered TCG came up at one point. Few people who were like, there's some people who were like, I don't like the QR codes on the cards. And I was like, hold my whatever drink I ordered, because we started like talking about, I was a margarita. Hold my margarita.
There you
And we were talking about that. And at one point, I can't remember if I brought it up or someone else did, but I was like yelling about Indiana Jones and why I think the Crystal Skull is underrated, which I know is a hot take. I don't know how you feel about that hot take, Jason, but
I don't think it's that bad. No, I actually think I over appreciate the Indiana Jones movies. I don't know. I think it's one of my favorite series of like just I don't know ever. And I really don't like to. I don't disparage it because it's near and dear to me. It's something that when I was growing up, it always replayed on broadcast television. So it's like so we're able to watch it a lot. So no, I don't think that's that hot of a take.
Oh, thank you so much. Because I think I wasn't able to really read the table very well. I think some of them saw my point, and I think others thought, yeah, this guy's had a couple drinks. But it's just fun. I think it's a fun movie. I think that's a
good word for it.
My wife and I watched all four of the movies before going to the fifth one. And I thought it was right on par with the other ones. Like I get a lot of people are like Raiders is a masterpiece. So like Indy's kind of a creeper in Raiders, and like the special effects haven't aged well. And
I think it's a big rose-colored glasses kind of thing too. Yeah. Like when you look back at all, you're like, but it's all still really good, really fun. I really enjoy the series as a whole.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, I mean, they're all fun. It was just like, I think people are like maybe rose colored glasses on like some of the earlier ones. And then like on number 4, they kind of like, I think just like got into a way of thinking about it, because I remember like the reaction right away was like kind of,
meh.
So, but I don't know. Watch it. It's fun. Whatever. Who cares? It's fun. It's a fun movie.
Exactly.
So is 5, by the way. So 5 is also fun. So yeah, it was stuff like that. And like comic books came up and the FFG crew kept like coming around and chatting about, with different tables. So like we got to talk to some people I hadn't talked to before. Like we talked to like Xander, who's a community manager who I have talked to plenty. He's the one who all of us have to go through anytime we want to like interview anybody. We talked to Josh Massey in charge of organized play, who also was in our area for a while. And so I knew him very well too. So it's just fun to talk. He talked about how addicted he is to Pal World right now.
Oof. Not for me.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay too, but he loves it. So that was awesome. We talked a little bit about that too. And we talked to Serena. I hadn't met her before. Serena is a newer hire, relatively speaking, not like last week, because she organized, as far as I understand, she was like the main driving force in organizing this whole thing. And this is something that Jim Cartwright, who's one of the main designers of the game, had planned. We talked to him like for a while Saturday night, and he talked about how this event specifically had been planned for like 2 years.
Wow.
They were like, basically, as soon as the game kind of was like greenlit and they got everything locked down, they're like, we are doing this huge event before launch to get our content creators who have been covering the game like appreciation and community and just kind of get everyone to feel like they have a place here and everything like that. So unfortunately, as they always have to draw the line somewhere. It's like there isn't infinite money and there are, rules and everything. And like, I don't know how they drew the line, but
well, it was Serena like right in front of me.
Yeah,
that's where I know it was drawn. No,
yeah, exactly.
wherever I was, it had to be right in front of that. But go ahead.
But yeah, no, Serena was just super cool to meet. She was really fun. She had come from, I might butcher things, but I know she had been, I think, doing community management for Critical Role or something prior to this, and was brought into Fantasy Flight Games and was learning about the TCG world and everything, and using her expertise. That's one interesting thing I learned from this weekend, talking to a lot of developers, especially some of the junior ones, that they had a big hiring push a while ago, which was part of like getting Unlimited off the ground. And they hired on people with a very diverse background set to join their people with a very TCG focused background. And that's something I've seen in like Grand Archive recently too, talking to some of them, like the guy who's mainly in charge of like product. I don't know. I don't remember what the right term is for his role, because there's like 6 people on that team and they all wear different hats, but he's the one who like goes to the factories and works on like what's the product design like, and how are we dealing with LGSs, and how are we dealing with different regions and outreach stuff. And he came from a non-TCG background, just like he liked collecting, I think, cards and everything. But he wasn't like a pro TCG player who comes in this. He came from a different business related background and is like approaching things like, how can I take what I know about the business I've been working in and apply that to selling this product the best way possible. And I saw a lot of that in Fantasy Flight as well. Some of the junior developers that we talked to, who were brought in more recently, none of them came from a TCG background. They were like literally like one was several from academia. One was a Russian literature professor, and one was I can't remember. I'm going to butcher people's backgrounds, but like I'm just saying, it was really interesting just to meet all the people and the perspectives that they were bringing to things, which I think is a valuable thing in a company too. I think you need people who know TCGs, and you need people who can be like, well, that may be how you've always done it, but in my experience, this is the better way to do it, you know? So that was just really fun. And towards the end of this dinner, Josh, and I think it was mostly Josh, he had gone and grabbed his binder because they had all cracked a lot of packs prior to this. And he was showing everyone all his hyperspace foils. And Josh had actually pulled if I remember his right, it was a foil. It was a showcase Jin Urso. So we got to, I don't think they've revealed that art yet either. We all just got to see that.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was, so my very first, I'm going to get into Star Wars Unlimited now. My very first take was, Jason, we talked about this on a previous episode. The foils in Star Wars Unlimited. Okay. We talked about how I had seen a few foils on stream and I thought, I'm not sure about how these look, because they're using a plating plating is a system in foil printing where it's a separate layer of the graphic design that indicates white and black areas, where basically when it's used in the foil printing process, the foil will be applied to some areas and not applied to others. Okay. So in other words, it's a way to make a character, like a character or something, be not foil while the background's foil. It's something I'm sure you've seen before, but you may not have known like the terms to call that by. So when seeing the foils on stream, I was like, it looks like they only plated out the game elements, the boxes and everything, and the art doesn't have plating on it. And that doesn't always look as good, because like then you just have this like flat foil applying to everything, and it's like, I don't know, doesn't look as great all the time. So the first thing when Josh put that binder, I was like, okay, I'm going to look at every single card here, and I'm going to finally figure out what's going on with these foils, because sometimes it's like the stream maybe looks a little weird and you just can't quite tell. So I can say that I was correct about how the plating works. The plating on these cards is usually applied to just the game elements. On Saturday, I pulled a foil Jeddah City, one of the rare bases, that plated out Jeddah City. And it's the only foil I've seen from the boosters that has an element of the card image plated out. And I don't understand why. Again, I don't know why that's the case. It looks nice. That said, some of these foils, they despite them not being plated out, having subjects plated out, these look really good. I still think there are some that it kind of washes out the image a little bit, but I think those are pretty rare compared to things like, especially starships. Any card with a starship in the art with that like space in the background, the way the foil applies to the artwork actually just looks really nice. Yeah, I don't know. I saw a lot of foils there, and a lot of them looked like, I was like, wow, like, especially the hyperspace foils, like these look really good, actually, like really good. The showcases were definitely plated in the artwork. The showcases have a different foiling applied to them. It's a more reflective foiling. If for people out there who played Magic the Gathering, and you're familiar with the From the Vault series from a while back, those have a different style of foiling on them that's highly reflective. And it's it's similar to that. Those are actually, they're like highly reflective foiling with like a gloss finish on top. They're like thicker cards. These aren't quite that, but it's that style of foiling where when you pick up this card and you look at it with its unique art, with its plated out artwork, its unique layout, and then that high shine foil on it, it's like they look really good. They are extremely, extremely good looking, which is why I'm very upset now that I'm going to want to acquire these, and they're going to be expensive. Because they're like 1 per 12 boxes. So that was kind of Friday night. I'm going to move on to Saturday, but Jason, I want to, because this is not just me talking. Do you have any questions or anything that you'd like before I move on?
So far, I am dialed in. I kind of kept. I feel like I was almost there.
That's what I like. I was like, what I kind of want to do with the podcast. We can talk so much that I just want to, kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and get people to understand it. Yes, I understood you're almost there, but you were not.
No, I just didn't know if my mic picked me up.
You know,
technical difficulties. No, I don't really have any. You kind of answered a question that I had was about the foils, because I know we talked about that. That was actually on my little cheat sheet. You guys can't see on my WordPad was foils. So you already took my one train of thought away from me. So that train has left the station. No, that's okay. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. We're here.
Yep.
Whatever that's supposed to be.
So that was Friday night. Saturday, so Saturday, the event. Now it's going to be all Star Wars Unlimited talk. So we get to the event, we get to the venue. It was held at Wisdom Gaming, which is an esports lounge in the Mall of America, which is like really cool, actually. A really, really sweet place. And they let us in and they gave us all a bag. And the bag contained a full booster box of Spark of Rebellion. A starter deck set, 4 packs of Gamegenic sleeves, Luke, Vader, blue card back, red card back. The red card back isn't used on any cards. It's just, they just wanted a red one, I guess. A set of aspect pins, all 6 aspects in pin form. A Gamegenic white, the like heroism deck box, which is really nice. The spot for the tokens is really, really great. The spot to place your leader and your base, it's really great product. A set of Gamegenic tokens and a special Gamegenic initiative token that has Spark of Rebellion on one side. And it says an event exclusive playmat, and the artwork on that playmat is It Binds All Things. It's artwork of Luke upside down in the Wampa Cave, reaching for his lightsaber. So that was the swag bag. I think that's everything. And then we took that all back, and we all sat down at tables, and they started up the stream, and then had everybody crack 6 packs and build sealed decks and start playing. I played against Ryan right away, one of the junior developers, with my sealed deck. I had a really weird pool. I felt like it was kind of weird. My rares were kind of unusual. I had the Devastator, and I had 2 copies of a card we hadn't seen yet, that Sneak Attack, I think it was called, that lets you like play something for a little cheaper, but it goes away at the end of the turn. I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to Sneak Attack Devastator in. Because it like readies it also, so you can attack with it right away too. I was like, this is going to be good. I'm going to murder something on the board and then swing for 10 overwhelm. And I never did. I never did that one time. So after we built our sealed decks and we kind of played around a little bit, it was actually like all these other content creators were like filming opening. I actually filmed opening my sealed pool, but I don't think I'm going to end up posting it anywhere. Maybe I'll just make a Patreon video of it actually and shove it up there. Just because otherwise I won't use the footage at all. Probably, but it was just like, I didn't feel like it was very good content. And what the problem here, Jason, was that as soon as I started recording and I was opening my pack, right next to me, Sugi from TCG Cast, who are friends of us also, had, in his very first pack, opened up a showcase Director Krennic.
Oh, wow.
And there was screaming and cheering. You can actually hear in the background of the live stream, even though the mics are very good, you can hear a scream happen kind of early on, which is like the entire content creator community going, "Oh my God, like he just pulled a Krennic." And then as far as we knew, one other showcase was pulled, which was a showcase Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, the card art on that card is really good by that. That one's been revealed.
Crazy. Yeah.
Holy cow. It looks so good. So yeah, that was like the sealed portion. And then players were kind of just like left on their own and like to do whatever. But during that, they introduced their casual multiplayer format, Jason. They finally introduced it. Jason, did you check out the rules for that at all yet that they posted?
I did actually, because once I read that and kind of took a chance to take it all in, I was like, what is going on with this? I guess I couldn't fathom how they would make a multiplayer format work. Not in like from a base gameplay, but the direction they took it in, I guess. For me is like, wow.
So Twin Suns, we'll have a video that'll be up. It might be, I think, like a day or so after this podcast releases, which is it's about an 8-minute video just going over the rules of Twin Suns in the sort of the highly edited main deck style that I think some of you guys are used to. And so for anyone who missed it, there'll be a deeper rules dive in that video, but really briefly, it's a 3 to 4 player. We did try with 5 actually too, and it works just fine too. Nice. But they meant it for 3 to 4 player format. Everybody builds a deck with 2 leaders and a base, which does allow you to play one more aspect than usual if you want to. Singleton decks, meaning 1 copy of each card allowed. The format was designed with a bigger card pool. So like, keep in mind, we talked to the devs about this too. They're at like set 7 or 8 right now internally. Set 2, I think, is already off to print. If not, set 3 also. So they are plenty ahead right now. And when they designed it as an 80 card deck. But because the card pool is so much smaller in this first year of the game, it's 50 cards for now. The final special rule to this, and the thing that really got me curious, actually I was super curious just about the 2-leader thing, but the thing that really got me interested in how they developed this, because it kind of showed how they were thinking about things, was the win condition, which is that the game ends the turn that one player loses. Not everyone but you. You don't have to you don't have to be the last person standing. It's just when one person loses at the end of that round, the end of that phase, you're going to check for a winner. And the winner is going to be the person with the most HP left on their base. And when you knock someone out in this format, you get a bonus recover 5, which is, that was the thing that's like, oh, okay. Like, this is really interesting because you can get highly aggressive and knock a couple people out in one round and you'll be sitting really pretty. Or you can just knock one person out and play defensively and also be in a pretty good spot. And in this last round of the game, so after this, that night we played like 7 or 8, I think, games of Twin Suns. So we all just cracked open our product and built whatever decks we could and played. It was an extremely fun time. It's a really, really fun format. I really, really dug it. And that last round of every game is really tense and interesting if you don't let someone run away with it, which happened on both the FFG streams of the game. Actually, there's a player who takes advantage of a situation and ends up just kind of like stealing the game. But each time the game seems to end at a pretty reasonable spot. The cool thing about this, like if you're someone who's played a lot of MTG Commander, Jason, you've played Commander, right?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
How long does a typical Commander game take? Yeah, that's about the answer.
Yeah,
right?
I was ready to say, like, it depends, like, what level we're talking about here. So, like, on a casual level, I don't know. most of the ones I've played are at least an hour. Just because we typically down here have larger Commander games because we just have a really, really kind of tight knit Commander community, and we like to do larger pods.
So you've done the 2, the 3, the 4 hour games,
right?
The
marathons. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep. Those I don't think happen in Twin Suns. Awesome. Twin Suns, they say 15 to 20 minutes per player at the table. We played faster. We played not really slower though. I think our 5-player games went a little bit longer, which makes sense again. But even in you can keep adding players, but like it just takes one person to lose, right? Like it adds more time because they have to take their own actions and everything. And the board gets pretty wild with more players, but yeah, it just takes one person losing. And we had a game where we were about to get kicked out of Wisdom Gaming, and we had to move to the hotel to play. And we just said, all right, we're about to get kicked out, so the game has to end now. So who should we all attack? And we all just like annihilated one random. I think it was Nelson. Sorry, Nelson. I think like we all just like annihilated him, and he was like, "Yeah, it's all the game had to end, so whatever." It just didn't matter. It was like whoever, and there was like, "Looks like you win because you have the least damage left." So, but it's I mean, like the format just works super well. The 2-liter thing. Oh my goodness, that is fascinating. There are so many cool deck builds now. I was playing Iden Versio and Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. Iden is you can exhaust her if something has been defeated this round to heal. And Boba Fett is when something leaves play, you can ready a resource. So my deck was just like, I'm going to try and control the board. I'm attacking the board and gaining value every single turn that I'm doing that. Tempo and life. And I would sometimes deploy Iden, and she'd sit out there with her shield on her deployed side. Her deployed side is whenever anything is defeated. You don't have to do it.
Right.
Any opponent's thing is defeated, you gain a life. And she would just sit out there with a shield, maybe a sentinel too. And no one's like, I'm just going to ram stuff into you all day and lose all my things. So they just ended up killing each other's stuff. And I'd just be able to kind of like quietly in the corner, like, okay, I restore one. Okay, I restore one. Okay, I restore one. and then they'd be like, finally look over me and be like, uh-oh, like we have to get rid of that Iden because Dan's healed like 7 in the last few turns. Like, yeah, it's fun. It's cool. And there's so many other cool combinations that you can play. Jason, are you going to build Twin Suns?
Most likely. I think when I talked about it with my, the people we actually demoed it this week. We finally got our hands on a 2-player starter deck, and we were talking about it. Yeah. And I definitely think it appeals to the kind of Star Wars fan in some of the people playing the game. Like, oh man, I could do this and this. And then they were just kind of like going off on tangents about it, on like the idea of that. So I think too, a lot of the more casual players are really excited about that.
I think especially like Star Wars has a lot of iconic 2-character combos.
Yeah.
Set 1. I'm going to ask the Ryan when we're going to do an interview with him at some point. I'm going to ask if this is like anything that anyone ever thought of, or is like, but Han and Chewie, Han deploys on 6 and Chewie deploys on 7. Mm-hmm. But Han, when he attacks the turn he deploys, he puts a resource into play from your deck. So Han actually sets up the resources to then deploy Chewie. Or I might have made is Han 5, but you have to use this ability. Either way, I can't remember. But the point is Han puts the resources in.
Right.
Either using his leader side or his unit side to then be able to flip Chewie out. And then Chewie has Sentinel and defends Han, allowing you to have more turns of getting free extra resources. It's like, and Chewie, if you get the showcase art is Han and Chewie back to back on Chewie.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's thematically so perfect. It's so cool to have those two be like such an iconic duo. Like to the point where I was like trying to figure out what Twin Suns deck I'm going to build. And I'm like, actually have a list now for Han Chewie. Like, it's just so cool. It's just way too cool. And I can't wait to get like, we need a Han that has the rebel trait, because this one doesn't, like General Han, who can then pair with Leia in an awesome way, because then Leia can command Han into battle or something.
Yeah.
And like you can pair Luke and Leia right now. Those actually work really. Luke and Leia is a really sweet combo, because Luke can attack and put a shield on something, and then you can attack with that other thing immediately from using Leia's action, to then like trade with something valuable or whatever. So, and like when we get into other trilogy, like Anakin Obi-Wan, like that's going to be such a cool, like who doesn't want to play Anakin Obi-Wan in Twin Suns? That's going to be so cool. And hopefully at some point, like right now you can only play heroism with heroism and villainy with villainy. But I knowing what they did in Destiny, I expect to get at some point a Rey Kylo pairing, at least from Rise of Skywalker, where the two got to smooch and be friends. So we can get like a little Reylo pairing going on too. So there's so many. Jason, what excites you about Twin Suns the most, do you think?
I think the gameplay loop is really cool. The fact that, and you kind of nailed it, you don't have to have everybody lose the game for the game to end. All it takes is one and for me, because that's the big thing about multiplayer. Like, I like the idea of Commander, right? I really do. But I can't sit here and go through like 4 or 5 people, like watching them lose or waiting for them to, for them to finally fizzle out. Like, by the fact that one goes and then, okay, it's a different element of strategy, which I think appeals more to the way my brain works versus the Commander style. Okay, well, now I got to wait for this person die, or somebody to combo off, storm off, and then we all lose, something like that. So I really like the idea of the direction they went with it versus this kind of long form, kind of like almost like opera style thing, where it's more like, okay, it's still pretty concise. Yeah, the amount of players is going to increase the time invested, but you're not sitting there for 2-3 hours, because as much as I love playing any game, to keep me occupied for that long a time, I got to get up and move, man. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Yeah, I understand that. I think this is awesome. I hope people build decks and start playing with this right away. I like just having a casual multiplayer format that's officially supported from the start. That is really fun. I think that's going to be huge in allowing people to interact with the game in the way that that appeals to them the most. The thing about IP games is that a lot of the time, let's take a Bandai game like One Piece or something, right? Like, if you're a fan of One Piece, you're gonna look into the card game. Probably you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I'm a huge One Piece fan, like, and you like card games. You're like, let me check the card game out. If that card game, as it's played by everyone, doesn't appeal to you, like here's a great example using Bandai. So Dragon Ball Super, because we know that we can pick on this one. It's been around for a long time, right? Dragon Ball Super has one format, and that format has had valleys and peaks in how balanced the metagame is, and what style of gameplay is successful in the metagame. And you can always play kitchen table, like whatever. Just like, I like my Krillin deck or whatever, and I want to play my Krillin deck. But those are easily imbalanced games as well. And that's a game where like the game, it's had formats where the game ends turn 2, like consistently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you might do when you look at an IP game is you might look at it and go, I like the idea. The cards look really cool, but I just don't enjoy playing the game. It doesn't feel right to me. It's not fun for me. And the cool thing about pushing both a competitive 1v1 format, the limited formats as well, and then this casual multiplayer format, is that you may find that you even right away, you may love it, but at some point you may be like, I don't really like the current format for 1v1 or something, or maybe you just don't like it at all. but you might find that Twin Suns is a lot more fun for you, or you just like, you want to just play casually. You don't care about playing competitively. You have 3 other friends who you're like, just like Star Wars, like, and you just want to hang out. It basically opens the door for this IP to appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Than just keeping it that narrow one format.
Yeah, I think it also shows a level of care that they put into the game itself to out the gate have a multiplayer format that's like supported. For me, that's something like I can't recall a game in recent memory where that's been a thing. Like, most of these games are meant to be 1v1 kind of games. So to have something like that out the gate shows the kind of care that they put into the game, and to probably reaching more of a broader player base. And to me, something like Twin Suns, like what I meant to say, it also feels more like kind of like your board game style gameplay, where it's now a multiplayer element. Everybody sit around at the table. Like somebody like me, I'm going to build decks for a couple of my friends so we could all sit down and play it together. To friends who normally probably wouldn't go out and buy a trading card game because maybe it's outside of their means. Maybe that's not something they enjoy to do, but they probably like Star Wars. So this is going to be a really cool way for me to like, hey, check this out. Maybe they'll be able to enjoy it too. So I think it broadens the audience really nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was super happy with Twin Suns, so happy that I convinced several other content creators to crack all of their packs, even though they wanted to like draft or save them for content or whatever. Like, no, we got to crack them all. We got to build Twin Suns decks. And we did. And I'm happy to say that everybody had a blast. Awesome. There was not a single person there who was like, I don't really like this format that much. We all were like, yeah, let's play again. Yeah, let's play again. Yeah, let's play again. Like, this is good. And our very last game of the night was actually with Xander as well, who brought out a Krennic Inquisitor deck that was very annoying. Inquisitor is able to damage something with 3 or less power to ready it. Krennic has 3 or less power, and he has Restore 2, and he gets more power when he's damaged. It's like, he put those 2 out, I was like, oh, wow. Those go really well together. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's there are some unexpectedly cool combos as well. And when we get set 2, Jason, and when we get set 3, and when we get set 4, it's just gonna get more and more fun, more cool combos, more cool decks, more, and the decks are gonna get a little more powerful too. Because right now you throw a lot of like commons and uncommons in, Singleton, and you're like, and these are decent cards, but things are going to shift and it's gonna be fun to watch, fun to play, and I will jam Twin Suns. If you ever meet me at an event. If we have time, I do have I'll tell you right now, I do have Twin Suns with me, and I'm happy to play. So after we kind of learned about Twin Suns, I had a standing meeting. Actually, I was messaged by Xander, and Xander said, "Hey, we're setting up a draft that's going to be on stream. Do you want to join the draft and play on stream?" And I said, "No." I'm just kidding.
Hell no.
I was like, of course. Yes, please. I would love to. So this was a cool draft. This was a really intimidating draft. So it was a 6-person draft. It was myself. It was D House from Unplayable, who Unplayable had posted some of the most gameplay content. They're very ingrained in the space. Very good players. Flake, who is another well-known Flesh and Blood content creator, commentator, esports commentator. He's done all sorts of other. What's that? Gwent. Gwent was another big one for him.
Yeah,
big Gwent player too. So it was those 3, me and those 2 as the content creators, and then we were against. We were drafting as Xander, community manager. Tyler Parrott, one of the designers on the game, who's been on a whole bunch of the live streams, brilliant guy, and I think everybody's like most I'm going to call, actually, this is perfect. His voice tenor and his imposing figure and his imposing power level. Jeremy Zwern is Darth Vader in the world of Star Wars Unlimited drafting. And we were positioned around the table, kind content creator, dev, content creator, dev, content creator, dev. I had Xander to my right, and I had Jeremy to my left. And I was like, this is probably going to be one of the hardest drafts of my life, because it's the first time I've ever drafted Star Wars Unlimited against people who have been drafting Star Wars Unlimited for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And not only do they have that head start on me, they're honestly, like, at least Jeremy for sure is probably just a better card game player than me in general. Like, if you just pick any random game and that neither of us had played and we started playing it, he'd probably beat me. That's what I assume. Because he's just like, having seen him played, he is on the ball. He's very, I think, honestly, he's kind of unassuming, because he's kind of a soft-spoken guy. But man, he's already beaten you a few turns ago. He knows exactly what's going on, and he'll just quietly kind of like destroy you. So, which happened on stream, by the way, to poor Flake as well. But that was really fun to watch. But so we do this draft. Okay, so Star Wars Unlimited draft. I'm not going to go through the full draft rules because they've covered those a few times. But we start by drafting our leaders. We draft those before we draft. We open all 3 packs and we put our leaders out, and then we draft the rest of the cards in the pack after that. And the leaders are drafted face up, so everyone knows what leaders you have. And Jason, let me tell you, I made a mistake in my very first draft at the very start of the draft. I just went ahead and I made a mistake, and it definitely caused me problems. I first picked Iden Versio because she's my favorite.
Right.
She was in my pack, and I was like, okay, it's Iden. Sounds good. She was one of the 3 I opened. Then I picked Director Krennic, who's also Vigilance. And then I picked Hyperspace Chirrut Imwe. It was that or some other leader I didn't want to play, and I was like, I'll grab the Hyperspace Rare leader. That's cool.
Yeah.
Who's also Vigilance.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was like, yep, I'm playing Vigilance. Like, that's definitely happening. And Xander was to my left, Jeremy to my right. That's important to remember. We get to the end of the draft. I had a few things come my way. One thing I noticed was that there was only one other. There were only 2 other players that had Vigilance characters at all, and I had all of the Vigilance villainy characters. So one thing I knew was that if I passed any Vigilance villainy cards, people had to hate draft them,
right,
or play them out of aspect in order for them to take them. And predictably, I wield many powerful Vigilance villainy cards. Power of the Dark Side was one that was like 3 cost removal. And I was like, this will wheel. Yeah. I took something else, passed around. I got it back. Perfect. Take it. Which, by the way, if you don't draft, that's what wheeling means. It goes all the way around the table and comes back to you. Yep. That's a wheel. It turns. So I had a few good Vigilance villainy cards, but I noticed pretty early on, I was like, I got like a Vanquish early on, but I didn't see takedowns. I didn't see many of the other like generic Vigilance cards. And I saw a few cunning cards that were decent. I had like a Shoot First and a Syndicate Lackeys, which lets you get an event back, which is a really sick card. Or no, that's the ambush one. Sorry. The Pirate Gang, whatever, is the one that lets you get an event back. Which was nice to get like Vanquish back and stuff. But I just felt like I'm missing some of the best cards here. I don't know what's going on. Clearly, I'm in Vigilance, and like it looked like Cunning was open in the packs. We get to the end, we reveal everything we drafted. Now Jeremy is in, Jay-Z over here is in aggro, command aggression Leia. Nothing to do with me, but I noticed looking through the packs, I kept passing really good command and aggression cards. He just picked up on that no one was in that and just like went all out. He had a destructive deck. It was really powerful. Xander, I look over him and he's like, yeah, I drafted Cunning Chewbacca. And I was like, oh, cool. You're in the 2 colors I am, except you're in the heroism side. And I looked at his list. He's like, yeah, I got 2 Obi-Wans. And I was like, what the heck? Like, you had 2 Obi-Wans, one's foil and one's regular. And I looked through his list and he had every good vigilance and cunning neutral card that I wanted so badly, because for packs 1 and 3, he was filtering. He was passed to the left. So he was filtering every one of those top pick cunning and vigilance cards before they came to me. And my problem was I had no ability. I noticed that like aggression was pretty open and command was pretty open, but I had no ability to pivot in the draft when I stopped seeing takedowns and vanquishes and stuff. So it was like, well, okay, nice. So Xander basically drafted the better version of the deck that I drafted. I still have some good cards. So then I said, okay, so we're each going to play one game on draft. Let's see. D-House is going to play Tyler. Flake's going to play Jeremy. And Dan, you're going to play Xander. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Not only did he draft, like we drafted the same deck more or less, but he drafted the superior one. And now we have to play each other on stream. So I had such a fun time though. That game on stream, for people who haven't watched it, it's up on the Fantasy Flight. I'll link it. I'll try and link it in the description below. It's up on their YouTube though. I made a few play mistakes for sure. I know and it wasn't a surprise. You cannot I doubt you can surprise me with the play mistake I made, because basically every single time I made a mistake, it was like the next action I was like, I should not have done that. That was wrong. Cunning is a hard aspect to play correctly, because cunning's cards, there's so much value you can get out of them by playing them super properly. But we had some really hilarious things that happened. I played a Lieutenant Childson with, I mulliganed and had no turn 1 plays despite putting like 12 in the deck or something. I can't remember the number. Wow. I think I said it on the stream. I mulliganed and missed my turn 1 plays. Like, well, 1 in a million, but it's a hold-on maneuver, I guess. Or a Death Star shot. You pick your 1 in a million quote. But despite that, it actually worked out, because when I played Lieutenant Childson, I had exactly 4 cards in hand and they were all vigilance. And when you play him, you reveal your hand, or you reveal up to 4 vigilance cards from your hand and put an experience counter for each one. So I played a 4-drop 6/6 Sentinel. Which is like, holy cow, this thing's huge. I at least scared Xander a little bit. And the thing is, Xander got out a Chewbacca and put an Electro Staff on him, and he got a ton of damage on him. He was like just a beast. He was like, I cannot beat this thing. And then had an Obi-Wan, and I saved my Vanquish. I at least knew he mentioned the Obi-Wans, and I was like, I saw Vanquish on opening. I was like, I am not resourcing this. This is my only out to Obi-Wan, or I'm going to lose to him. And he played Obi-Wan, and I was like, Vanquish. I got to do it on stream, and that was awesome. But the cool thing was, even though Xander was super ahead of me, there were a few turns where I was making a couple of plays where it was like, I kept surprising him and being like, oh, wow, okay. Like, I thought I was going to kill you this turn, but I can't. And I actually thought for a little bit, I had an out. I might actually pull back a really sweet comfort behind victory. And then he dropped the Ghost, and it was like, Ghost, it's shielded, shield Kanan. Now there's a 5/5 shielded ship over here, and Kanan's shielded, and Chewbacca's out. It's like, there's just no way I'm getting through this board now. It's not possible. So it was a really fun game. And my favorite play of all was right after I dropped an AT-AT. I had saved up, and I surprised Xander, but I was like, I took the initiative. I'm like, okay, first action. AT-AT, it exhausts the entire ground side. So now your Chewbacca's exhausted. I know I can't kill him easily, but I can exhaust your whole board. And if I can keep your stuff exhausted, I'll kill you before you kill me. And then the next action, I attack with a TIE fighter in space, because I'm like, well, I got to do damage. I got to like keep him exhausted and attack. And then Xander takes the initiative, and then I'm like, wait a second. Now he's just going to attack me before I can exhaust things. Right. And I look over to Jeremy, and I said, I should have taken the initiative. And he just like, I swear, this is like when your dad knows you screwed up something and just has that like slightly disapproving, but like you're still my son, but you screwed up kind of. It was like, yep. That was all he did. And I was like, okay, yep. Like, Jeremy had already, I'm sure, all like knew this exact sequence, watching my hand and everything. He knew exactly what he would do, and I kept doing things. He was like, "That boy ain't right. He does not know what he's doing." So it was super fun though. That evening, we all played Twin Suns, and we had this like just kind of drinks and hangout event. And I got to talk to Jim Cartwright a lot, who was like, it just super fun to talk to too. He talked about the origin of the game and everything. He got tattoos of all 6 aspects. By the way, if you're not sure how committed they are to Star Wars Unlimited, dude literally inked his body with the 6 aspects. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys other than I came out from that thinking that everything's planned in this game. They know what they're doing. Organized play, casual play, release schedule, releases. They announced that set 2 starter decks are Mando, Din Djarin, and Moff Gideon. They showed the artwork for them.
Yep.
Perfect starters. Perfect. It's going to be so good. I left there unable to be more excited about Star Wars Unlimited. I was immediately building decks, planning Twin Suns decks. Just can't wait. I can't wait for the pre-release in a couple of weeks. It's going to be just an absolute blast. And I got to meet so many people, talk to so many people who are just incredible. Like the whole content creator community is incredible here. Everyone's awesome. You should be following every single one. You should be subscribed to every single one. They're all putting out incredible content, covering all sorts of different aspects of the game, but they're all super cool. I'm trying to line up a few more like collabs with other content creators because I just want to talk to these people more. I want to have fun with them and enjoy this game together. And I can't wait to see everyone again at major events. So that was my experience, Jason. Do you have any, what do you want me to talk about before we close out the podcast?
What do you mean? What do you want me to talk about? I think that was a very enlightening. I think your excitement for everything, it comes through very well. And I think that's my big takeaway as somebody from the outside in. Seeing everybody rally together and post on Twitter and celebrate it together. It wasn't just like people talking about just their experience. That was something I noticed. It was posting, look what this person pulled. Look what we're doing with this person. So to me, as somebody who was looking from the outside, because, you know, I'm at work and everything else. So I kind of watched a little bit of odds back, kind of stuff like that. But like as the day was going on, seeing everybody enjoy it together and not having it be like this, content farm for me. I'm trying to push this out. I'm trying to push this out. I'm trying to push this out. It was very obvious that it was very, everybody was enjoying it together for the sake of enjoying it together, which I thought was really cool. And it was really good to see.
Yeah. I mean, like just the fact that people were like, hey, I want to draft. Let's save our packs so we can draft. Hey, let's build Twin Suns decks. Just crack all your stuff. Let's build Twin Suns. And instead of people going like, these content creators could have easily just been like, oh no, I'm just going to take my stuff and go home. I'm going to do a box opening video. They could have, there was nothing we signed that's like, you can't sell your stuff or anything. Like
I was waiting for somebody to do that. I was waiting for that. I'm not going to lie. The skeptic in me, you know,
I haven't seen much of that. I think just about everybody there was just stoked to have product. Like people were like getting their playmat signed by the devs. They're like, oh, I just want people to sign this thing. I said I mentioned Marty again, Marty from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. I checked in with him towards the end. I kept meaning to play a game with him. I never had a chance to. Just like the draft took a bunch of my time, and then we started playing Twin Suns and like I said, we kind of clicky. So we like kind of had this click where like 4 people were like, yeah, well, we're going to play Twin Suns. So we never quite worked out to play, but Marty caught us in the hotel lobby area playing, and he said, hey, he came over to me and like, hey man, I had to come talk to you because I finally finished opening the last 3 packs in my box. And in the very last pack, I opened this, and he held up to me foil hyperspace Luke Skywalker legendary. And I was like, are you kidding me, Marty? Are you kidding me? Like outside of showcases.
Yeah.
That is one of the 2 cards that guaranteed are the chase of the chase. Because I mean, number one, Luke and Vader, right?
Yeah,
like, come on. just because. But number 2, those cards are bonkers.
Crazy. Yeah, crazy.
They are, any deck that plays mid-range or control is likely playing one of those 2. There's some space options, but as far as ground, those are like your I am turning the game around right now cards. And they do the trick. They do. I have lists that use both, and I love them. They're super, super fun. But yeah, like, so talk about, we were talking about the foils at the beginning. We're bringing it around. We like to bring things around in this podcast. So back to the foils. We said, we were not sure how they're going to look. And one thing I kept thinking was like, it'll be such a shame if the way they do these foils make that beautiful Luke Skywalker art just wash out because he's not played it out or something. He's not played it out. But I swear they're using Night Sister magic here or something, because I looked at the card and I was like, that is one of the most beautiful cards I've seen. It's just that extended artwork, the colors, and the way that the foiling hits the light, the colors on Luke and the lightsaber and everything. I pulled, my best pull in my box was foil Hyperspace Obi-Wan, which I was very stoked about too. It's just a rare, but he's Obi-Wan. Right. And that card also is, I posted that one on Twitter also. And I think Instagram. Just it's gorgeous looking. It's gorgeous. The hyperspaces look so good. Star Wars Unlimited it's not a 10 out of 10 game. It's an 11 out of 10 game. It's so good.
Nice. I had a feeling you were going that way with that.
It's 4 out of 10. No,
yeah, it's about a 4.
It's so good. I am so stoked for it. I am so happy, in particular, that the first thing I did when it was announced was I took everything in, and then I posted a video, and a good number of people saw this video too. Was just, I think the video is just called "Let's Talk About Star Wars Unlimited" and Fantasy Flight Games or something. And I went back and I just dug through FFG's history, and I was like, let's just have an honest discussion about what the history of FFG is, what we can expect out of Star Wars Unlimited, and where to go with things. And I gave my honest thoughts on everything. At the time, I wasn't sure about the card templating. I was like, I like some of these. I'm not sure about others. FFG's history with Destiny and everything, and the other TCGs. And my takeaway at the end was like, I think you should use your judgment, but you should watch it and see. You should just see what they do, because what they presented here is looking like it's the full package, the real deal, potentially. And then we got live stream after live stream after live stream of FFG showing more and more and more, and behind the curtain peaks and transparency and well thought out plans. And now that I have actual product, I played actual product, I've interacted with so much of the team, and I've gotten just kind of like everyone's pure and honest thoughts about everything and what they're trying to accomplish here and what they have done and what they're going to do. I don't know what to say other than I'm here. I'm here for Star Wars Unlimited, for the long haul. There's no chance that I'm going to be dropping out at any point. It's Star Wars, and it's incredible. It's a great game, and it's an incredible community, both of content creators and of people behind the curtain, the developers also. I'm getting a little emotional. I really, really, really had a wonderful experience, and I can't wait to meet everyone again.
Wow. I'm really happy that everybody got to have a really good time. I know I joked around about being jealous, not only because I know everybody was having such a good time. So I think that puts a nice bow on it. I think we've really talked. You've really talked. I kind of just nodded and went and laughed a little bit. I didn't cry, but I held back.
We'll have more Jason next time. It was
I'm really excited for the stuff going forward, and I was really excited to hear your thoughts. I didn't really message you while you were gone because I knew you were enjoying it. I didn't really talk about it in our chats leading up to this because I really wanted to kind of hear your thoughts. I wanted it kind of unfiltered. So I'm really happy you had a good time. So I think that puts a bow on it. So thank you for joining us for episode, I think this is 6. We had this weird time loop where we had to like record this early with the last one mad early. Like we haven't did this in like a couple weeks now. Pretty sure
this is episode 5. This is 5. Actually.
Is it 5?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, listen to this end part 2 weeks from now, and then it would actually be topical. No, episode 5. Really appreciate your time today, Dan, and allowing you to share your experience at the community event. And I really want to take a second to thank Fantasy Flight Games for taking all of those content creators and planning such an awesome event for everybody to enjoy and for everybody to really just share their experiences, share such a great time they had. And it really shows the amount of care they're putting forth to the game and to the community at large, and allowing people like us to just share our experiences and opportunities with the game so far. And everything else we're going to talk about going forward, we're really excited. By the time we're talking next time, I'll have open product most likely, and that's kind of exciting to think about, So for everybody here, it was the Main Deck podcast family. I'm Jason, and that's Dan, who he was the guy who talked for 55 minutes to an hour, and we really appreciate you guys listening to us, and we look forward to hearing from your thoughts about the event. Any questions you might have, drop us a line. You can find us on Discord. You can find us on our YouTube channel and all of your other podcast mediums. Again, thank you guys so much. Have a great one. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye, everyone.